Hello, everybody. How we doing? I'm Dr. Thunder. This is Two Dads React, and that's my collaboration with Tony from God Rules. And we've been best buds since fifth grade, and we're both lame-o dads. Totally lame. Anyhow, husbands, fathers, we present a Christian worldview, and that's how we sort of see world events and different things that are happening. And we have a doozy of a show for you today. All hell breaking loose in 60 days. All hell breaking loose. And, you don't want to miss this show because, a couple weeks ago we did a show and it was a little too spicy. It's a little too spicy for YouTube, so they pulled the stream down. But those that were watching live, they got to see. But afterwards, we're going to try to prevent from getting pulled down this time. But we have lots of spicy conversation, lots of topics that are going to be interesting, sort of about the financial collapse, the collapse of the dating market, the collapse of people's bank accounts, the collapse of the family structure, the collapse of feminism, the collapse of a lot of things is coming down. These crazy statistics associated with gender inequity, and especially in academia. And of course, we've been trained to see that as being, we need to empower women. But actually, it turns out that the statistics actually are showing that it's something like, in the black community, it's something like 70-30, 70% females in college, 30% males. And in the general, we'll say general numbers are more like 55-45, 60-40, somewhere like that. But we're still clamoring for empowerment and access and stuff like this, when we're actually seeing the stuff really quite literally flipped upside down. But the same people are still making the same tired arguments. And all of this is having a terrible impact on our ability to do the basic thing that we need to be able to do as human beings, and that is be fruitful and multiply. The basic stuff, the ones and zeros, we can't even do that. And this financial situation that we're in, that is getting worse. Money's running out, and largely money's running out because we've been paying attention to the wrong things all of this time and trying to convince ourselves that men and women are the same, when obviously we are different. And what's toppling feminism is that women don't like it. That's basically what's happening. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. But we are looking at these things from a Christian sort of perspective, a Christian lens. And get your tinfoil hats out. All hell breaking loose in 60 days. All hell breaking loose in 60 days. Let's go. Warning: some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, there we go.
I hear a bunch of eating and drinking there.
Yeah, man, I had to get something down, man. I just came from a concert.
Oh, okay.
And,
Gotcha. I just ran upstairs too to get some water. I thought I was going to be late, and then you're already down here eating. So
yeah, well, that's lame-o dad stuff. Anyhow, so how's this last couple weeks been for you?
okay, I guess not bad. I guess in the end, not bad. You know, started a new diet and did a bunch of other stuff. My wife had a surgery. Just a lot of stuff. You know. How about you?
Yeah, that's all right. A lot of stuff. Um, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
But
me too, man. Nonstop.
holiday season's about to kick up, and
Mm-hmm.
actually it's going to get more busy for a bit, but then it'll get a little bit less busy. But
I'm going to be giving
yeah,
away some stuff this Christmas. I'm going to do a
cool.
giveaway. Give away some gold, silver. Give away about $800 of food supply, laptop. So people might want to check that out. I'm going to talk about it in my next, not in the video coming up tomorrow, but the ones after. I think on Sunday maybe. I'm going to start it up. But
All right, everybody, like the video, like, share, comment, subscribe, become a channel member where you'll get access to all archived videos. Support independent media. Super chats enabled. Super thanks for the replay gang. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. If you want to feed me sandwiches, then you can hit the Cash App. Make sure you go over to Tony's sites. They're linked in the title, or rather he's tagged. Make sure you go over there and subscribe, join, and all of the various things that you can do over there. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's see here. All right, let's see what we got here. There's a lot of stuff going on. One thing that I was talking about during the monologue is some statistics associated with enrollment in college. Now, what it is that she's going to present is not as that is not particularly accurate, actually. But the point is that we have a huge disparity in the numbers with respect to college enrollment, who's getting the degrees, and then that also translates to, in large part, a disproportionate amount of student loan debt that's being carried by women. And this is, of course, piling on top of all of these other issues that are rising. But anyhow, let's listen to what she has to say.
Nah, for real, bitch, where? Ain't shit hot about them bitches, but that pussy that they...
Oop, sorry about that. Very sorry.
What the heck, man? That's like not a college woman, is it? Is that our latest college woman?
Well, apparently it is. This is a college woman. I'm sorry. Sorry about the language, everybody.
Wow.
Very, very sorry about the
What are they
language.
teaching in college now?
Yeah, I'm very
What are they
sorry.
teaching in college? Yeah.
But this is accurate. The new school, which is the school in New York, has a total undergraduate enrollment of 7,451 with a gender distribution of 25% male students and 75% female students. 75% female students. Now, I'm an academic. I work for a big PWI. And I know the kind of language, the kind of stuff that is going on campus and who's being talked about. There's a, who needs to be served more and who needs to be more empowered and needs more opportunities and needs more encouragement. But actually, the numbers, although it's not this big of a differential, 75% to 25%, there is a big differential at all of these schools. Most all of these schools, you're looking at maybe 55-45. In the monologue, I was talking about how in the black community, the numbers are more like 70% of the college enrolled of black folks that are enrolled are female, 30% are male. Okay, now the thing is that the black community is kind of like the canary in the coal mine. So if you don't fix whatever is causing these issues, you're going to start seeing closer to 70-30. And lo and behold, here's a case right here, the new school, that is 75% female, 25% male. That's not broken down for any particular racial group. That's just the enrollment, 75%, 25%. Now, I'm sure that there are still professors, diversity and inclusion, advocates. I'm sure that they are still talking the same thing. We need more women. We need to empower women. We need to get more women in here. We need them to feel like they can do the same thing that men can do. I'm sure that you still have them saying the same stuff. And this is 75 to 25. Again, I apologize for the language in that clip before, but this shows us what it is that we're talking about. 75-25.
Is that what the empowerment of women does? Is it gives them that kind of language and education? All those awesome songs there sounded really nice.
Liberation, man. It's liberation
from intelligence.
Well, here, let me show you this thing. Let's see here. This is a pretty polarizing figure right here. This is Pearl Davis. Pearl Davis, and she is an anti-feminist. She actually thinks, look, I think this is too far with what she says, but she actually thinks that women shouldn't be able to vote. Look, I'm telling you, that's what she says. I'm not endorsing that. I'm saying that's what this woman says. But let's take a listen to what she has to say about certain aspects of feminism here.
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering
I would actually love to see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
Seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm saying
the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children.
All right.
Well, we don't know what we want anyways. People don't know what they want. They just say they know what they want, and then they end up even less happy than they were before. I've seen a number of videos of women getting divorced because they're watching all these TikTok videos about how they're all happy when they get divorced, and then afterwards they're totally regretting it, wanting to get back with their husband, but they got their friends telling them, "No, you did the right thing," and They don't know what they want. You know what I mean? I don't think they know what they want. So,
hey, folks, we got 41 people watching, only 11 likes. Please like the video. Like the video. Please like the video. All right, here, let's take a listen to this right here. This is like a compilation video. This is pretty long, actually. I don't think we're going to play the whole thing. But this is part 2, Women Against Feminism. Let's see what they're talking about.
Doesn't have a meal. He never needs something to eat and it not be ready and there for him.
I'll wake up at 4 a.m. and pack all his, special drinks that I make him and his meal prep. I cook like 3 times a day. And
I like to fix myself up in a certain way. Just catering to him, right? Working hard to make sure he's providing. I think he deserves coming home to a nice cooked meal, to a nice clean home, to you looking presentable and nice and happy to see him, right? These things are doable. I mean, there's always something else you can do, something else you can clean.
And when he gives you instructions, you will have to obey him. So listening to your husband and taking his instructions, obey him without having to argue with him.
When you respect your husband, or when you respect men in general, but however they are in a relationship in your life, that actually enables them to love you so much better.
Okay, now this is all the feminists watching this are getting triggered. This is, they don't want to hear this kind of stuff. Now this is just, and what's so what's what? Okay, so here's one of the issues. One of the issues with feminism is that women don't like it. Okay, so there are some women that like it, and that's fine. And if feminism really is just about equality, cool, right? But it seems to me that a lot of women don't actually want that, because when they're given equality, like Pearl was talking about, hey, you want equality? You can be a construction worker. Nothing but space and opportunity here. You want equality? You can go work on an oil rig.
I think also on top of this, I mean, you have women in the church doing this as well now, and they want to be able to just take a beta male and marry them after they've already had 3 kids with random men or something like that.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, like they already did their fun. They went out and sowed their seed. I thought it was sowing their seeds. They're the ones not sowing the seeds. I thought it was guys that sowed seeds.
That's right.
So they go out
dudes.
And they have they got their fans account, all this stuff. They're doing all their stuff. And then after they're done with that, then they repent, get right with God.
Yeah, right.
Now they're a virgin.
Right.
They're a virgin now. They're a virgin. They're in church.
Right. Born again virgin.
You're supposed to marry her because she's a virgin now, right? So
born again virgin. That's right. She's seen the errors of her ways.
After she already had all her fun, of course, and she's got all those memories of everything she did back then.
Well,
but she's
it's not just that. It's also microchimerism. You know what microchimerism is?
No, what's that one?
So this is what microchimerism is. Microchimerism is, so they've started, because they know where to look now. They started finding sperm on the brain. What? So what happens? Yeah, what happens is however many men that a woman has slept with, unprotected slept with, right? That DNA remains with her for a lifetime. So
really?
what this creates, what issue this creates is an intermingling of the genetic material that actually can even affect the babies, the infants.
Really?
Yep, where they have actually found multiple traces of DNA in the infants, and they couldn't trace it to the man or the woman. It's because it was from previous men or man that the woman has been with. That's
I didn't
right.
know about this. This is crazy.
And now, microchimerism, and where sperm is actually usually lodged in like in the spinal cord, and actually even on the brain. And so they've cut open cadavers for the woman, right? So you cut open cadavers, and they actually found this. They're finding this. So it's yeah. So when it talks about, when the Bible talks about
your
becoming
spine in your brain,
yeah,
it gets in your brain and your spine. It's like sounds like it sounds like a horror movie, like a parasite or something, dude.
Yeah. Well,
by the way, hey, we should mention really quick. We are going to talk about all hell breaking loose with the 60 days in a minute here. I just want we're having some fun.
This sounds like hell breaking loose.
I never even heard of this, dude. It sounds like a horror movie.
Look, microchimerism. So now
I never heard of this, man.
Well, here's the thing. The Bible talks about, it doesn't use those terms, but it talks about becoming one flesh. Right? It talks about, obviously the ideal is one partner, for life, one sexual partner for life. That's the idea. And we also know that from a biological perspective, women and men are not the same. This is another way that women and men are not the same. You don't have multiple genetic. You don't have. If a man sleeps with multiple women, I'm not saying that that's morally good. I'm not saying that. But if a man sleeps with multiple women, he doesn't have any of her DNA. Right? That DNA is gone. He takes a shower, no DNA from the woman. Right? If a woman sleeps with a bunch of men, then she will have, for a lifetime, she will have the genetic material of those multiple men inside of her, in some capacity inside of her, for a lifetime.
There's a new Alien trailer out. Actually, I just my friend just sent it to me. A new Alien. I got to go check that out. Sounds
anyhow
kind of like that.
Let's jump over to you. You got some stuff to change our topic here.
And actually, I talked about this on my channels, and there was a couple people like, "What are you talking about? 60 days?" And actually, it's all math. If you look at the Fed data for consumer excess savings, which is all the consumers in America, all their excess savings, you go from 2021 August, we had 2.1 trillion, and now in last October, this year, it was 148 billion. So it went from 2.1 trillion down to 148 billion in excess savings for the entirety of America, all the consumers in America. All right. So basically it went down quite a bit, almost 2 trillion in about 2 years. And if you take the same rate that it's going down during that 2 years and you continue it till it gets to zero, it's only 60 days. So basically, in 60 days, we will have literally zero excess savings for all the consumers in America, which, of course, considering the fact that inflation is now higher than wages, most people are basically not making enough money to pay their bills. What do you do when everyone has $0? What's going to happen? People are going to probably stop wanting to pay their mortgage or something. They're going to be mortgage strikes, rent strikes. There's already on Google trending, and I can actually show this, I think. Can't pay my credit card. Google trending. It's going up. Give my car back. It's trending now. Can't sell my home. All trending. All these are trending right now. So I think in 60 days, basically after Christmas, this is the first time ever. A lot of people are like, oh, so what? They don't understand. We've never had it to where where it was $0 for the entire country in excess savings. I think we're going to be seeing something we've never seen before, which is probably going to be people doing like mortgage strikes. Like if you have 10 or 100,000 people doing a mortgage strike, you're going to have banks completely go under. You're going to have the entire system collapse, period, is what I'm saying. Now, a lot of people, I've heard that before. You haven't heard this before. And you've seen all the stuff going on. It's clearly not getting any better. And you can't just go forever either. So I think, honestly, that will probably be it right there. Around basically December, January time, you're going to have a lot of crazy stuff going on, I think, especially in January. I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but don't be surprised if there's like mass looting in a lot of cities. Let's just put it that way. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So
yeah, and see
they're not teaching the Bible exactly in schools anymore. So a lot of people don't think morals matter. There's no God, right? According to all these wonderful atheists, you don't need morals. Why do you need the 10 Commandments? Why do you need to not steal? It's okay to steal. Matter of fact, we even have it glorified now. It's okay. You're underprivileged. You can take whatever you want, right? So that's the new mentality as well on top of that. So not a good sign, but I'm sorry. You can go ahead, man. You're starting
no, you got it. No, I mean,
put it in there.
No, but we're definitely in trouble. 59 people watching, only 32 likes. Please like the video. And let's see here. Let me send. Let's see here. Let's head over here. I think I got a couple things we might want to take a look at. Let's see here.
All right.
Okay, no, that's the wrong one. Probably that one. Okay. Well, first of all, let's listen to her talk a little bit more.
And obey that. And what he wants us to do, how he wants us to help him. And she has to obey him. She has to help him. As a woman, you have to obey him.
Do this.
Is she from another planet?
And we said, yes, sir.
The woman is made for the man, and the man is not made for the woman.
Ooh, this is triggering stuff, man. They don't want us to hear women saying this stuff. Let's keep going.
Why do you think
she's from another
such
planet,
a problem
man?
with feminism? America would be much better off if women never got the right to vote.
I don't think that women should have the right to vote.
Because they tend to make decisions based off emotions, unlike men who use logic and reason.
Men know more about politics than women do. I always ask my partner who I should vote for and do as he tells me.
Now, unfortunately, she also used the term partner. That was a faux pas. That's not. Yeah, let's keep going.
Are you sure these are real women?
Look, it's a TikTok. It's called "Women Against Feminism," and so let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Based on my emotions, for example, how they looked or how kind they sounded.
America was much better off before women gained the right to vote, so I say repeal the 19th Amendment, get women back in the kitchen, and if anyone has any store recommendations for where I can get a new apron, please let me know in the comments below. I am dying for a new apron. And yeah, women should go back to not speaking unless spoken to because it's disgusting how women treat everyone, including men around them today.
We are crazy.
That's why I am a proud, staunch anti-feminist.
I'm sick of
Okay. It does seem like it's a little over the top.
These are men dressed as women, man. These are men.
Right. This is not. These are not. Okay. Anyhow. Okay. Let's get rid of that one.
You're trying to get this banned already, aren't you, man?
Look. I'm not even. Look. I'm just. Hey. It's hey. Who are we to tell them? Okay. I got another one. I've got some financial collapse one too, but I wanted to, get these out the way first. Okay, so let's take a listen.
The reality is feminism is a failure. Women are more single than they ever have been. More children are born out of wedlock than they ever have been. Women have more sexually transmitted disease than they ever have. They take more anxiety medication than they ever have. They're more depressed than they ever have. They're more unprotected than they ever have been. The divorce rates are higher than they ever have been. Children are killing themselves at rates, not just killing themselves, but acting wilder than they ever have been. All as a direct result from feminism. See, if something is successful, we should be able to look at its results. You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. But since feminism has become the way of the average American woman, look at all of these failures that we have.
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to, it's hard to argue against that. It doesn't seem like things are actually better now. It seems like a lot of stuff is worse. I'm just saying. Now, I'm not okay. So I'm an advocate of access and empowerment for all. Access and empowerment for all, regardless as to what your race is, regardless as to what your sex is. Access and empowerment for all. But you're not going to be able to make people choose stuff. They still have to choose. And I think the problem with this is that these feminists believe that men and women are the same, and it's only a function of nurture that makes us different. So if you teach us different, and if you give them more access to the certain kind of information and X, Y, and Z, and you empower them, then they will basically be the same as men. The other issue that I have with this is, why is that the standard? Why is being like a man the standard for a woman? It doesn't even make any sense. It's not a good. It's just silly.
Where did all of this start? I think it all started in Western society with the Enlightenment, when we just thought we could figure out everything on our own and sort of negate or get rid of traditions. And when we started trying to essentially replace things that used to be the standard in traditions with new things, we started, all gradually changing things over and over and over time, until we finally got to the point where we're questioning, even things like this, like what is a, man, what is a, woman, things like that as well. So I think it all is a result of us just forsaking who we were originally, our traditions and our beliefs. I think it's basically what it is, man. And then trying to rationalize everything. And it leads to this.
Yeah, you're talking about children, you're talking about kids and stuff. And that guy was talking about kids in that last clip that I was playing. One thing that's this is crazy stuff, but Gen Z in particular, we're seeing an uptick in they're not coupling like previous generations did. Previous generations, you'd always be boyfriend, girlfriend. There was a lot of that. Now what you're seeing sort of friend groups, and rather than coupling with someone, they're basically just running through their own friend group. They're sleeping with all of the guys in their friend group. The girls are, the guys that are fortunate enough, because that the guys are not going to have the same level of access. The ones that are the chosen ones, they sleep with all the girls in the same friend group. And then when they get tired of it, they switch to somebody else. And so rather than sort of coupling and being committed and having an idea of, though it be serial monogamy and not the kind of monogamy suggested by Christianity, serial monogamy, at least it's one at a time, right? But yeah, it's all kinds of crazy stuff that you open up Pandora's box and all this other stuff comes out of there, and you can't get the stuff back in there, and you can't go back. And
no, you can go back. You have to go back to the traditions and to our faith, and you have to go back to things that are grounded in our faith. The fact that they went away from it and tried to rationalize everything, now you see how irrational they are. They think they can rationalize everything away, including God, and now they don't even know if they're a man or if they're a woman. They don't even know they can't even couple. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's like, what's next? You're going to question if you're human? Am I here? You're going to be like completely mentally crazy.
This inability to couple is really scary, because that's the thing that we do the most naturally. Like, you're not even thinking about it. You just fall into it because you have hormones coursing through your veins. Women have hormones coursing through their veins. Men do. And it's a magnet, right? You're attracted to each other, and then you procreate. It's just like we're mammals, right? So it's like a simple thing, but we can't even do that. We can't even do that.
Actually, the animals are more wise than we are because we're
Pretty
so
much.
unwise that we let social media brainwash us. And of course, also there's people, I think, at the top doing things with, things like food and the air and things like that, to where now all of a sudden testosterone's really low and all that kind of stuff as well. But
Yep.
I think all that stuff's connected. At any rate, I mean, this one here is kind of interesting. This is about the interest payments. If you look at our national debt, the interest payments are going up to an insane level. We can't even afford it anymore. Same also with our own personal finances. So basically the idea is we're running into a wall, and a lot of people don't even know it. And it's super obvious because the average consumer just keeps spending, even though they don't have any money. And now it's got to the point, like I said, in 60 days, it's going to completely run out. Once it runs out, we've never been there before. And because the inflation continues to rise, and from what I've seen with the graphs, it's going to probably rise for the next 8 years. Clearly, we're not going to last another 8 years with the fact that everybody's going to run out of their money in 60 days. So I'm just really curious what's going to happen. A lot of people are going to be completely blindsided because they think everything's going to continue as it usually does. But they're going to find out that's not the case. And I think a lot of these all these WARs that have been going on around us is because those over the West know this is going to happen. They know in 60 days it's game over. So that's why they're trying to do this world WAR. They're trying to instigate it because they're losing power. The West is losing power. The East is gaining power. They've become entirely separate economies. They used to be a world economy, and the West just can't admit failure. These people at the top can't admit failure, that they've completely lost. And they're going to destroy it and just run it into the ground. It's kind of like the Titanic. We're just going to run right into the iceberg. And so a lot of people just think everything's going to be fine, and then they're going to find out it's not. They're really going to find out it's not in the not so distant future. At any rate, of course, also interestingly, under that one country that's in a WAR right now in the Middle East, there's a bunch of oil and natural gas, which sounds kind of funny because it seems like every time there's a war, it's over those things. In that strip, in that country, there's a bunch of oil and gas, natural gas. That might be the reason why the whole thing's going. I don't know. But of course, we destroyed a pipeline, and they want to replace it so they can send this oil and natural gas to Europe, probably from that country. Should I say the name? I think you know what I'm talking about, right? In the Middle East. Come on, the war in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're going to be sending natural gas and oil from that country to Europe. And they want to solve
small hat land.
And it's all about money. It's all about, so it's all about money and resources. They know that Europe, Germany, and England right now can't even afford their own schools because of the power bills. The natural gas cost is extremely high in Europe, and it's running all these countries into the ground. So they want to solve that. That probably is the reason why that's happening in the Middle East right now. That's my theory. It's always based on natural resources or oil or money or something. So I think personally that's what it's all about. Everyone else is fighting over everything else in the side, on the sidelines, talking about things that they think is the real reason for it, but it's actually probably this ultimately. Because you imagine guys that like playing the game Risk. Like these guys at the top are just playing Risk. They just want to own everything. So they're like making moves based on how they can gain more power, more oil, more money. And they don't really think about anything else, I don't think. You know what I mean? Or they probably think about other, you know what I'm saying? But
just real quick, thank you, Andre. 416 Reformed for the super chat, $2 Canadian. Saying salute, doctor, God rules, and chat. Thank you very much for that. Let's here. Let me. I got a couple things here, and then we'll come back.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, man.
Let's see here. I keep going.
You got some more. You said some WAR stuff too, right? Or no, economy stuff. You got some stuff on that.
Well, I have some financial stuff. Let's look at this one right here. Let's see what this is about.
Check it out. $40 billion is missing in American banks. Let's look at this, let's look at this bank right here. Their loss of that much. Look at that. $40 billion. Oh my God. It's a 20% rise over the previous quarter. Oh man, not looking good. Here's this other bank, 131 billion. Look at that. That's not going to be good. Do you see what's going on? This bank and that bank. Look here. That bank lost 40 billion. And then that bank just lost 25 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's coming next year. This is Crypto Hulk. I got a live stream Saturday, November 4th, 7:30 a.m.
It's already happening,
right.
man. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
That 40 billion already was lost.
Yep, and
it's way more than
131
that,
billion from Bank of America.
It's way more than that, because now there's about a number of weird glitches and like services lost and account closures and stuff like that. There's a ton of glitches. There's a bunch of cyber attacks right now. And I was covering this over my business channel where they're actually I think they're trying to hide stuff with some of these companies, because there's one called Mr. Cooper. The CEO took out $25 million in shares the day before he had the cyber attack. And they're being sued for like trying to overcharge $2.3 billion towards customers. So there's a lot of these companies doing shady stuff, and all of a sudden they're having cyber attacks left and right. A lot of them, like even Clorox just had a cyber attack. Like why would anybody attack Clorox with a cyber attack? Does that even make any sense? You know what I mean? So there's all these companies having cyber attacks all of a sudden, and it's just kind of curious. Like, are they trying to hide something? I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. But yeah.
So one thing about currency, money. Well, the currency is not money, right? So money is like gold would be money.
Fiat,
stuff that has
fiat
stuff that has actual value that appreciates, that stuff is money. But anything that, like cash is not money. Or like that. So you have this idea of, okay, well, I'm afraid that the banks they don't know what they're doing with the money. Let me take the money out. I'm just going to put it in my mattress. Okay, well, maybe that's better than having it in the bank if they're losing 40 billion and 131 billion and stuff like that, if it's disappearing. Okay, maybe that's better than that. But actually, you understand that cash is losing value. So I have some cash in my pocket right now because from some tips from this concert I had earlier. The cash that's in my pocket is losing value as it's in my pocket. The only thing that would stop it from losing value is if I bought something that will appreciate at least at the same rate that money should be appreciating. Or at least stay at the same rate. But what happens with currency, is it's steadily losing. It's losing value. It's steadily losing value. That is what inflation is. And so it's a weird thing, because you're talking about how people are going to be out of money. Yes, they are going to be out of money. With the way that things are, I'm not sure that it's all that better for them to have. Okay, I keep saying the wrong word. For them to have currency, for them to have some ones and zeros in their bank account, because that currency is losing value. It would almost be better if they went and bought something that was valuable.
Yeah. Gold, silver, or real estate,
right.
or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yep.
For sure.
All right, let's see what this guy has.
Honestly,
go ahead.
I was going to say something real quick. Honestly, I noticed within the last couple of weeks in the supermarket, they had another price jump. I noticed it. It was like the bacon. A lot of things went up in price just in the last couple of weeks. I noticed a huge jump. And it was a big one. Like, it was significant. Ridiculous. So, yeah.
This stuff is ridiculous.
Go ahead, man.
Here we go.
The IRS has just announced the new tax brackets that are adjusted for inflation. So this is official, and it goes into effect for tax year 2024. And I want to tell you that this is all a result of inflation. So I'm going to tell you what's happening, and you tell me if you think that this is fair. what the IRS has done. And then after that, I'm gonna give you my opinion. So let's start with this. I wanna give you a simplified example to explain this to you so you know clearly what is going on. So here's the example. Let's just say that you make $50,000 a year. And let's say that inflation is so bad and the cost of everything, all your daily living expenses double. So we're talking about food, healthcare, insurance, rents, gasoline, everything doubles. Okay, but also your income doubles. So your income goes from $50,000 a year and now you're making $100,000 a year. So congratulations. Now the question is, financially speaking, are you better off? Are you worse off? Or does everything end up the same because expenses doubled and your income doubles? Okay, so you have to remember that this is a simplified demonstration, but the answer would be that you are worse off because of income taxes. Because think about it, if your income doubles, then you're gonna be in a much higher tax bracket and you're gonna end up paying much more in income taxes. So your cost of living will double and your pre-tax income will double, but after taxes, your take-home pay will not double. So you are worse off because of inflation. It's for that reason the IRS must adjust the tax brackets and the tax rates for inflation. Now, with that being said, the IRS made the official announcements. They're gonna adjust the tax brackets by 5.4%. And I wanna show you how this is gonna affect you, and I want you to understand how this works. So I have to say this because a large percentage of Americans still don't understand how this works. If you do know, then that's good, but I have to say this because it's critical to understand. In the United States of America, we have tax brackets. The more taxable income that you have, the higher that your overall tax rate will be. So this is known as a progressive tax system as opposed to a flat tax system. So I want you to take a look at this. The first $11,600 that you make will be taxed at 10%. So if you have $11,600 of taxable income, you will pay $1,160 to the IRS. If you make more than $11,600, then you will enter the 12% tax brackets. So I want to be absolutely clear about this. When this happens, all of your income will not be taxed at the 12% rate. If you have $12,000 of taxable income, then the first $11,600 that you make will be taxed at the 10% rate. And then the remainder, the $400, will be taxed at the 12% rate. But as you can see, the more money that you make, the higher that your overall tax rate is gonna be. That's because as you make more money of your money gets taxed at the higher rates. And that's essentially the issue at hand because you have inflation that's going on. Inflation is driving up the price of everything, right? All your expenses. So you have to make more money just to keep up. But that's the problem because as you make more money, you end up in a higher tax brackets and then you end up paying more in taxes. So here's the inflation adjustment that the IRS made for 2024. It is a 5.4% increase across all tax brackets. And the question is that good enough? So let me know what you think. So I want to show you what's going on. Look at the difference from 2023 to 2024. In 2023, the first $11,000 that you make gets taxed at 10%. In 2024, it's now increased to $11,600, which is good. You and I, we want it to increase because if that number is bigger, that means more of our income will be taxed at a lower tax rate. All the tax brackets expanded by 5.4%, and it's the same concept. We want more of our money to be taxed at the lower rates. We want more of our money to be taxed at the 10% rate. We want more of our money to be taxed at the 12% rate. And I just want to point this out to you. So look at how crazy this is. Look at how quickly the tax rates escalate. When you start making $47,150, you are in the 22% tax brackets. Do you realize how quickly that escalates? 22% for federal income taxes alone. That is a big chunk of anyone's income. That's not even including Social Security taxes, Medicare taxes, state income taxes. And when you're making $47,000 a year, you don't have the money to spare 22% of your income for federal income taxes. Not to mention, we're not even talking about sales taxes, gasoline taxes, property taxes, you name it. Now, moving along, it's very important for me to tell you this because I want you to be aware of this. I want you to know what the government is doing. The government is shortchanging us every single year, and that is not my opinion. This is cold, hard facts. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you examples. So every single year, the IRS...
He's 100% right. I would like to see basically 2019 rates versus 2023 or 2024, because I guarantee it's almost everything's almost doubled from 2019 to 2024, and they've not raised the tax brackets double, not even like you said 5.7%. I bet you it hasn't even raised 10% from 2019 to 2024. And it should be raising double. It should literally be double. Okay. At least double. And so they are basically screwing us with taxes pretty much is what he's saying. And he's completely right. So basically, even if you make no more money, just a little bit more money, because everything costs so much more. Anytime you make a little bit more money, you're going to be taxed more. Also, on top of the fact that you can't afford anything with inflation as well. So he's right. We're basically taking us through, and they're going to take AI and go through and try to find all the tax cheats, all the millionaires, when they're the ones printing trillions of dollars and just giving it to their friends. But we're the ones that need to be taxed, to death, I guess. Apparently, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the only sure thing, right? Death and taxes, right? All right. What else? What else you got for us?
Well, it's interesting because, like I was saying, there was all these cyber attacks. Recently, there was a number of them. There was a huge telecom company in Australia that was hit with a cyber attack. And what's interesting is you have all these CEOs pulling out millions of shares. You got right here, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, selling 1 million shares. Okay. You had the Waltons, Sam Walton from Walmart. All his children are the ones that own Walmart now because he's gone. They sold a ton of shares not too long ago. You have SoFi's chief risk officer, Aaron Webster, dumping all of his SoFi stock. So when you have the CEOs selling all the stock, they're telling you there's something bad's coming, folks. Something really bad's coming if they're selling all their stock, because they don't even want to sell their stock because they're concerned people are going to look bad. It's going to look bad. So the fact that they're doing that means that there's something really bad coming. And of course, that happened right before 2020 as well, by the way. When we had all the things closed, there was a ton of CEOs that sold all their stock too. A lot of people forgot all about that. But the fact is, I've been covering a lot of that stuff over on my other channel, Sale Daddy One. But even with Stellantis, which is Chrysler, they're basically buying out half their salaried workers. So they're literally getting rid of half their workers. And the UAW is trying to strike for 30% price pay increase, which makes sense if you think about it, because that's how much things have raised in price since 2019. But at the same time, I don't think Stellantis or GM can afford it. And the reason why, it's all come back to the government printing all that money in 2020. And they only gave us part of it. They only gave us the chump change. Most of the money went to their corporate friends and those that were in the banks. Those people basically took all the money, and now we're paying for it with inflation. So that's why we have inflation, is because they printed all this extra money and gave it to their friends. So they basically robbed us, and we're paying back the robbery in inflation. But no one ever talks about this. You go look at the business news, no one will explain this to you. And of course, the UAW is like, this ain't fair, so they're trying to get a higher wage. But the ultimate point is that, yeah, GM and Ford and Stellantis, they probably got a little bit of that payoff when they did all that money printing, but they only got a fraction of it. I think it really went to some of these really bigwig people at the top. Some of the friends at the top really got all the money. They basically robbed us, but they don't want you to know that. They're hoping you're not smart enough to see this. And there's a few people on YouTube that talk about this, but you won't see this in the business news. But that's really what happened. I knew in 2020, when they printed all that money, we were going to be paying huge inflation in the future. I already knew it. But so basically, it was a negative check. That stimulus check was basically negative money for you and I, because you're going to be paying way more than you got in that stimulus check. You're going to be paying way more than
that. Yeah. 88 people watching, only 51 likes. Please like the video. That's the single most important thing to do. If you want to spread the word, if you want to get other folks in here, then you got to like the video. Like the video. Like the video. Thank you very much.
Our previous prez is the one who passed that, by the way. But he actually at first refused to do it. And then he got coaxed into it. Well, we need to close everything down, stop everything. We must stay at home, all that kind of stuff, right? So that's what caused all this, you know?
Yeah, definitely. All right, let me see here. I got a couple things here. Let's see here. See what we got here. What is this? Not that one. I want. Well, yeah, I guess this is good. We're talking about financial collapse. It says, "Is this the start of the largest financial collapse in history?" What am I doing? Okay, let's see what he's talking about.
So is this truly the beginning of one of the most massive financial collapses we've ever experienced in our living history in America? Or is it true what the economists say on the news and the media that you consume, that there's going to be a soft landing? The economy is good. We got this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a logical perspective. Facts, figures, numbers, logic, and allow you to make an informed decision, because financial education is the number one thing we need right now. The 1% will always remain the 1% until you rewire the foundation to end up in a different situation. That's how I did it. So what I'm presenting to you is facts, figures, numbers, logic. Don't make any financial decisions based on what I say. This is just my opinion. So number one, we need to talk about the savings. Number two is we're going to talk about credit. Number three, we're going to compare that to America. We're going to put ourselves in America's position, and we're going to ask ourselves, what would the option be if we were America? Number one is, let's talk about the savings in America. So there was a spike in savings from 2022 going into 2023 and 2021 as well because of the stimulus. Now what happened from 2022 going into 2023, there was a big spike in savings because interest rates went up. So when interest rates go up, it makes cash more attractive, like the US dollar, and it pulls the capital markets back. Well, we had a bond inversion as well, which had people escaping markets and getting back more into cash. So there was a really fast switch from money being very cheap, flowing like water, to money becoming expensive and more attractive to save. Well, it's like they're swinging the pendulum so big. So number one is savings, but now what's happening now is 2023, I told you guys, Q2, Q3, Q4, 2023, you're gonna start to see a big market pullback for a couple reasons. Is now people's savings are being drained. They're going down now because interest rates have been so high for a long period of time now. Inflation has stayed high, and now gas prices are starting to go up because Israel got invaded. So now savings are going down, and the credit index for consumers is at an all-time high, $1 trillion. Now, if you get any numbers wrong, please do your own research, but I'm going to give you some baseline numbers. There's still about 3.9 trillion available in available credit for people to borrow. But here's the problem. If you got no money in the bank to service that debt, and companies don't have the ability to borrow anymore because it's expensive, and they're going to start laying people off, and you start to lose your paycheck, you won't be able to service that debt. And so what's happening now is people are stacking their credit cards, people are tapping into their home equities, throwing Hail Marys trying to stay alive and support their lifestyle instead of reducing it. Because we're so bought into this impressing people we don't like, or buying things to impress people that we don't even like, as Gary Vee says. Okay, so we have savings are draining, consumer credit index at 1 trillion right now, the highest it's ever been. Interest rates are going to continue to go up, and now we have a looming war on the horizon.
Okay, so what do you think so far? I think he's cooking. I think he's saying a lot of good stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, he's pretty much right on with what he's saying there. The fact is, he's right. Everyone's believing what the main, of course, stream is saying, like, oh, everything's fine, soft landing, and that's why they keep spending. And they're like, oh, okay, so I can charge up my credit card right now, and it's going to be okay next year. But it's not going to be. Okay, that's the point. It's not going to be. It's not going to be okay next year. So everyone's assuming there's going to be a landing spot. But then when there's no landing spot, what are you going to do then? Right? You already used the credit card. You already used your home equity. It's gone. Nothing left. You see what I mean? This is what I was saying about there being, and then of course he said about the loans. If you have no money in the bank, they ain't going to loan you any money. So like I said, in 60 days, the overall consumers are going to have no money in the bank. There ain't going to be any loaning. See what I mean? It's gone. Yeah. It's gone. That's what I'm saying. We're talking vapors now. They're telling you everything's fine, and you're running on vapors in your car, and they're saying there's a gas station in a few miles, but there isn't one. That's what I'm trying to get at. So go ahead, man. You can play more. This guy's pretty much on. He's good.
Raise gas prices and make it more expensive for you to live. Rent's gone up 20 to 30%. So now the normal everyday person is struggling to survive. Okay, the tipping point is here. So let's put ourselves in America's position. So you're now America, okay? So you're America and you're sitting in your house and you're at 33 trillion in debt. You have more debt than you have income. So let's say you're America and you make $3,000 a month and you have $5,600 in debt that you need to service every single month. So you're fucked. You can't pay your bills. So you have to go to other people to borrow. So the first place you go to is the bank. And the bank says, you don't have any ability to service this debt. So we're not only going to not give you any more debt, but we're going to lower your credit rating. That happened to America. So America has 30% of their debt outside the United States. Most of it's held by Japan and China. So they have to go borrow for critical services. So now you're America and you no longer can get debt from the bank because you can't service that debt. So other countries probably don't want to lend to us anymore. So you go to grandma and grandpa like, hey, can I borrow a couple of dollars? Like, we've been here before. So you drain grandma and grandpa. Then you go over to your parents, you drain them. There comes to a point where you can't service the debt. You have no more money. The difference between you and America is they can turn on the printing machine. You can't. So as an individual, if you were America, you'd have to file bankruptcy or you'd have to reset your system and start over at ground zero. So let's get back to America. So what is America going to do? 120% debt to income ratio, 33 trillion in debt. We literally can barely pay the interest on that debt. That money should be going into critical services, roads, all the different things that we pay taxes for, but it's basically to pay the interest on the debt. So if you were America right now, what would you do? Well, what if other countries were in the same position? What if China's in a rough position? What if Russia's in a rough position financially? Guys, money's been cheap for a very long time. Maybe you might reset the system. Maybe you would create a new monetary system. Maybe you would sanction the old SWIFT system when Russia invades Ukraine to create a financial narrative. Maybe you'd get people to look this way so they're not paying attention when the whole financial system is switching over this way. Maybe you'd create a bank bailing committee in 2012 that Jay Clayton now sits on the board as the one that initiated the case against Ripple in 2020. Maybe you'd create an FOMC, Future Oversight Committee, to regulate non-bank financial institutions in 2012. And maybe you tell Rosie Rios in 2012 to reduce coin and cash usage, getting them ready for a massive, massive financial reset. Because the only way to get people to move is through what? Emotion. Because you can only control three things: your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions.
So what do you think?
Yeah. No, he's actually right. So he's talking about they had a bailouts back in 2008. Now they want to do bail-ins. So basically the banks, when they go under, like I said, we're talking about these mortgages, like everyone runs out of money in 60 days for the most part, as I was talking about the FRED data, which is the Fed data. It's just called FRED. You go look on Google FRED and then consumer saving, excess savings, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But basically we're going to run out of money, and I lost track of what I was trying to say. Basically, I forgot what I was trying to say there. What was I talking about?
You were talking about the Fed, the Fed.
Okay, yeah. So right. So so basically we're going to run out of money, and we're not going to be able to get any more service of debt. And you can see how the government has been doing this thing where they run out of money and they're going to basically have the government shut down. They've already had it twice this year. And what do? They just passed for extra money, right? So they keep doing that because they're overspending, because they don't, it's just like he said, like you have $3,000 coming in, but you have $5,000 in debt every month. You can't actually pay it. So they had the SWIFT system over the entire world. They had it in Russia. They had it everywhere, in China, in America. And Russia and China separated from us. They're in a entire separate economy in a sense now. They have their own system. They're actually doing better than we are, although China's not doing too well either. They're kind of bad. Believe it or not, Russia's doing better than all of us in that respect. Unfortunately, they actually have their own system. They're actually not doing bad. They don't have inflation problems. They don't have the inflation problems. We're in a really bad spot because we have our business news telling us everything's okay. You got Jim Cramer telling you everything's fine. There's going to be a soft landing when there isn't going to be. And he was talking about 2012 where that's what I was trying to talk about. So 2008, we had the crash, and they did a bailout. Then in 2012, they changed the laws to where they'll do a bail-in. When the banks go under, they're gonna take your money. So like, let's say you have 50,000 in the bank, okay, and like I was saying, about 60 days, you run out of money. People are gonna do these mortgage strikes. So you're gonna have tens of thousands of people doing mortgage strikes. It's gonna put some of these banks under pressure. Eventually, one of these banks is gonna go under. When it goes under, they're gonna take the money from your account to save the bank. It's a bail-in. That's the new laws. That's what he was talking about. So there's a huge catastrophe coming, and you might think I'm crazy, but when it happens, then you'll know I'm not crazy. Just like all the things I've talked about over the years. I've had things I spoke about 10 years ago on my website, jaredvideos.com. You can go watch right now where I predicted what's going on right now. And people think, oh, you were crazy. But then I was right. And now I'm saying this. I'm predicting that you're going to have this massive financial crash, basically probably around January or something like that next year. So it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, see,
it's
the thing is that
I highly recommend you having. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you had your tinfoil hat on, and so you could tune into signals from the future in a way that, since they didn't have theirs on. See, but on this show, we don't wear them on the air, but like after we get off, then that's when we wear our tinfoil hats. Pretty much everywhere we go, we have tinfoil hats on until we actually broadcast. See, that's how we were able to tap in. Okay. Anyhow.
I've been talking with the aliens again, man. I'm sorry. No,
so let's keep going. Just a little bit more of this.
So if you're in fear, you will move. If you can't feed your family, you will implement it. So I don't know. This is just what the facts, figures, numbers, logic are. So here's what I am doing. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it's worked for me. So number one is I've been invested in a very speculative asset. It's very speculative, called cryptocurrency. I built a solid portfolio across different sectors of cryptocurrency, knowing that it's very speculative. But I do the opposite of the 99%. As everybody's going to come rushing in 2024 to 2025, when the institutional adoptions and the Bitcoin ETFs get approved, I will be exiting the markets as you come in, pulling profits, laddering out on the way up. And as everybody's running from crypto and all your financial advisors told you crypto's a fraud, I've been accumulating. Then I go horizontal. I'm very diversified. I use Index Universal Life tax code 7702 to secure, compound, and grow my wealth. And so everybody's positions in the capital markets come collapsing down, my principal is guaranteed. I can also tap into it if I need liquidity or I need any type of money to buy more assets. I'm diversified in business and information technology and attention for the future. I use precious metals. I have silver. I'm moving into gold. And I'm going to talk about this area, which I'm not an expert in, but I'm going to work with experts because I need tax liabilities, which is real estate. So we're going to be going vertical with 506Bs as we go into next year inside of our Warrior Academy, is we're going to be looking at apartment complexes. Because remember, you're going to own nothing and rent everything. That's what they say. I don't know. And my number one thing that makes me the richest man in the world, and I'll continue to say this boldly, is my relationship with God and following the life of Jesus. I'm not a religion. I don't follow a religion.
Okay, this is when it gets to hogwash. When he starts talking that stuff, that's when it's hogwash. That starts sounding like prosperity gospel. But anyhow, that's what I had there. I thought that he said a lot of things, and yeah, it turns out that he's a crypto guy. That's fine, but he's also like diversified. And he was talking about silver. He's talking about gold. He's talking about real estate. He's talking about owning apartments. Something that people could also look into is laundromats. Because if you think about it, if you don't own anything, then you might not own a washer and a dryer, and so there you go. Right. That's going to be another way that you can sort of take advantage of what's about to happen.
You have to think about also the cities. You have to think about what the cities are like, because the cities, a lot of big cities are going to fall apart during this time. So I don't know if you have to be very careful with where you pick your real estate. You got to be very careful with where you put a laundromat or an apartment, because I think you're going to see Detroit 2.0. What we saw in Detroit in 2008, I think you're going to see that in Philadelphia, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles. I don't know all the cities, but I think all those cities are going to basically crater. A bunch of businesses are going to leave them. You're going to have half the businesses leave. Half the city is going to be empty. Detroit had entire neighborhoods that were empty. If you have an apartment in that neighborhood, it's going to be worthless. But so you have to be, maybe the suburb is a much better place. Like a suburb of a big city might be a really good place to have an apartment or a laundromat or something like that. I would say gold and silver is obviously really good. Crypto is a little tricky. Obviously Bitcoin's sort of a no-brainer, but there is some trickiness there. I don't know what's going to happen with the laws and regulations when all this craziness happens. So I can't really, I used to talk about crypto all the time back in the old days, but I honestly don't know. I mean, obviously probably be wise to have some of the really top level ones if you're going to have any crypto, especially going through some rough stuff like what we're seeing coming. But I'm not really huge into crypto. I do have like, I don't even know how much. I think it was like 20,000 worth or 15 or something like that, crypto. But I think the gold and silver is wiser. I think things like farming is really good too. Like if you own a farm, people need food. Obviously, during like the Great Depression, farmers got rich. Everybody needs a farm. Obviously, if you're selling cosmetics or high-end like clothing, no one cares about that when you're poor, right? So things like that aren't going to be very wise to have during that time, So, but I mean, like, yeah, I would be very careful where I buy real estate. And also you have high interest rates right now on mortgages and stuff like that as well. So you have to be very careful with that stuff. And this isn't an investing show. We're just talking about stuff here, folks. But I think there's some big stuff happening. But go ahead.
Thanks to Chubby56 for the $5 support. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's see here. You have some more stuff for us?
Well, maybe on some other topics. I mean, there was some weird stuff, and this is stuff I'm going to be talking about in my new video. Well, I don't know if I should talk about this here. Do you want to talk more? Do you want to talk about stuff that has to do with bizarre lasers and weird lights, or do you want to talk about stuff like going on in our society, like culture, like the church?
How about this? How about this? Let's do this because we might be on for another 10 minutes. Maybe another 10 minutes.
Right.
What do you think?
Let's talk about celebrities. Let's talk about some celebrities. Did you know about Vanilla Ice? You know about Vanilla Ice, right? You've heard of him, obviously, the rapper Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's really amazing. Okay, so what we're seeing, I just want to talk about this because I find this to be a huge irony with the church is, where is it at? Okay, so basically, you heard about the Dove Awards, what happened with the Dove Awards? They had, okay, let me show this on the screen. They had a drag queen at the Dove Awards, okay? And what's interesting about all this, and the Dove Awards is a Christian awards, music.
Oh, right? Goodness gracious, please.
But what's interesting about this is the only person that really spoke out about it was the lead singer of a Christian rock band called Skillet. Okay? Almost all the people were actually criticizing him for speaking out against it. Even though a lot of the radio stations, a lot of the ministers were actually against him for talking against it. So what I'm saying is, you're seeing these people that have supposedly been believers for 20 years are now like kind of like rotting away, and like they're losing their legs. They don't know where they're at anymore. But what's really weird is you have people coming off of from left field. You have Kat Von D. You've heard of her, right? She was the tattoo artist. She just recently became a believer. She's taking a strong stance. You got Alice Cooper, a rock star, taking a bolder stance than most ministers do today. You got Vanilla Ice singing with a rapper with a cross on his car. This guy's named Greatness, and this Greatness guy just baptized like one of the Island Boys. This guy is called Fly. I forgot his name. He's an Island Boy. The dude is like totally into really, I don't even want to say, he's into some messed up, stuff, but he recently got his life more on track, apparently. So you got people that you would never expect like becoming believers and then like taking bolder stances than even ministers in like supposedly Christian organizations now. It's really getting ridiculous. Our world is so backwards and upside down these days, man. It's so messed up. It's like somebody flipped it over upside down.
Oh goodness. This stuff is totally ridiculous.
Andy Stanley, you know Charles Stanley, right? Charles Stanley, the famous minister. You know that guy? You heard of him, right? His son Andy Stanley was criticizing the lead singer of a rock band who was standing up against it. So Andy Stanley is the son of Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley's like the super huge guy. So that's what we're talking about. So you got like the guys that are supposedly the bad guys, like rock stars and tattoo artists, making a bolder stance in their faith. Then you have these, what do you call them? Milquetoast ministers who have no stance for their faith anymore. Apparently, I don't know what's going on. It's gone crazy, folks. I don't know, man. Honestly,
I had this. I this morning on Rolling Thunder, I did a live stream on this idea of the conscience as the voice of God. Jordan Peterson fairly recently did about a 15-minute little kind of vignette. It was at a conference or something on the what does he say? How did I put that? Adventure, on how doing the right things and saying the truth. If you want to have a real adventure, if you want to have your own adventure, that's actually the gateway to doing that. And that there's a whole sort of thought process, a Catholic sort of thought process on this whole, the conscience as the voice of God. And this is how every person, that still small voice, every person is being beckoned and called to do the right thing. And this is a prerequisite of any statement of faith, is that you must be called, right? That still small voice, you must be beckoned. And all of us are being beckoned, but unfortunately, so much bogus stuff is happening that it's dulling people's conscience, and they're being fed this poison when they're young that is making it harder and harder for people to be able to decipher the voice of God. And this whole, because you have people talking about how they don't connect with God, or they don't connect with Jesus. Jada Pinkett Smith recently went on Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness, his podcast, promoting her book. And she was talking about how she studied the Bible for 3 years as a theologian and as a historian and all this kind of stuff, read it 3 times and blah, blah, blah. And then she was talking about how she just couldn't connect with Jesus. She just doesn't connect with Jesus. And she said, and then basically what happened is she hears this story about this guy that has this experience from taking ayahuasca, and which is this psychedelic drug that's used in these sort of satanic spiritual whatever rituals. It's illegal in the United States, so she had to go to like Paraguay or something, and she finds this witch that does this ceremony, and she basically is fighting demons off for 48 hours because of how this whole thing, but she doesn't describe it. She's thinking of it as something on her and demons, but then she's like, well, what I was realizing that it wasn't really demons, it was just my own insecurity and my own, and this kind of stuff. See, the thing, let me tell you, here's the issue is people,
What's her name? The one that was on Transformers. She went to hell when she was on that drug. And she said, but it wasn't hell. It wasn't hell. And she literally went to hell, and she doesn't think she went to hell. And it's just like this with Jada Pinkett Smith. It felt like demons, but it wasn't demons. Really?
Look, the thing is, is that if you won't tell the truth and you won't do the right thing, then there is no way that you're going to be stepping closer to God, stepping closer to your authentic adventure, do the things that you're supposed to do in life, get closer to a sense of purpose and meaning. One thing that Jordan Peterson said at the end of this, he said, and if you do this enough, do what you say, do what's right and speak the truth. He said that your life will become such an adventure that it will make up it, that it will justify the misery. The misery, the miserable sort of state of every person. You're not going to get any better. You're not going to find anything worth anything if you're not willing to do the hard things. He was using the example of Jonah and how Jonah was trying to get away from Nineveh. He was like, hey, you want me to go to Nineveh? Oh, there's no way I'm going to Nineveh. I'm going the opposite direction of Nineveh. And what happens to him? All hell breaks loose on the dude. Everything, all these terrible things happen to him. And even the people that weren't even believers of the Most High, they weren't followers of the Most High. They recognized that they got to get this cat off of their boat because the Most High is after this guy. They didn't even Yahweh. He's after this dude. We don't want to mess with that. And so they kick him off of there, and he goes to hell. He literally goes to hell. If you look at the way that they describe the whale is a metaphor for hell. Matter of fact, when it talks about, go ahead.
I was going to say something. I was just going to say that it's not actually a whale. If you look at the ancient Greek, it's a mythological, allegedly mythological beast. It's some sort of like weird creature, and it's something that may have existed, like some sort of dinosaur-ish type of thing that doesn't. It's not a whale. It's just like when they talk about Behemoth and Leviathan as having a tail like the cedar, and it's actually probably more likely talking about a brontosaurus or something like that. But we just call it an alligator or something. So I don't think it was a whale, but it was some weird sea monster, though.
But either way, it was a metaphor. Its description was a metaphor for hell. And matter of fact, when we talk about Jesus, we talk about him as Jonah in the belly of the whale, goes to hell for 3 days. I mean, it's hell that we're talking about. So it's just people are. It's all jacked up, and you can show people right in front of them, this is what's happening, and it doesn't matter. They're just, I don't know.
The farther you get away from God, the more confused you are. And you might think you're not becoming confused, but you can see society. Society is becoming very, very confused now. And they can rationalize anything the way they want, but they're not actually getting any closer to what they need or the truth. Just like with Jada Pinkett Smith there, the reason why maybe she couldn't accept Christ, perhaps, is because she can't accept, honestly, looking at her, she doesn't look like someone who wants to be truthful all the time. And she seems to be very self-centered. That's just my opinion of her. Okay, looking at her, she doesn't seem to care about Will Smith whatsoever. That's supposed to be her spouse, right? She even claims that he's not even married to her anymore. I mean, it's just ridiculous, the stuff she's doing. She's very much a stain for him. And honestly, he should just divorce her. That's just my opinion, but that's another topic. But, so he needs to reclaim his manhood, man.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if you've heard about this. I'm a little hesitant to even bring this up, but it looks like they're going to be suing Tasha K, who's she's like a celebrity gossip, channel, on YouTube. And she platformed this guy that has known Will, has been employed by Will in various ways over the last 20 years. He claims that he walked in on some yag segs between Will and this guy named Dwayne Martin. Way like years ago, he claims that this is the case, and he is descriptive and saying all this stuff. They're gonna sue this guy. I think this guy is a snake in the grass. I think he's lying. I think he's got a book that he has a book, right, and that he's trying to promote. And he just wants his 5 minutes of fame. But here's the thing: what if it is true what it is that he said? Just think about the moral depravity associated with befriending someone for 20 years, leading them to believe that you're their friend, only to use it as a way to get a payday or to get some sort of
you know what? He might be attracting the wrong type of people around him. I mean, it sounds like his wife's kind of like that too, a little bit.
Maybe
like
some of those demons that Jada has is jumping all over him and other folk.
I'm kind of wondering if Will Smith, like maybe he's a wild card. Maybe he'll be pulling off something real big and good, and the devil don't like it. So that's why all this stuff's happening to kind of destroy him. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thought, but it makes sense in a sense, because it seems to have a lot of people that are trying to use him for sure. It seems like a lot of people using him, because I think he has a lot of star power. Maybe if he turns a leaf to a new direction, sort of a red, pill or whatever, it could lead a lot of people a certain direction. Kind of like you see with other famous online celebrities, he could become himself one and lead a lot of people in the right direction. And,
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something about that whole using celebrity to lead people to God. I don't think that's anything. I think that's because if it takes here's why I say this. If it takes your favorite celebrity to turn a certain way before you're willing to do it, that tells me that if that celebrity also decided within the next year or two that they're going to do something different, you're going to follow them over there too. So it's just flimsy. This stuff is flimsy.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's like Kanye, West. He's the same way. I really don't like what he's done as well, because he seems to be back and forth, and doesn't seem to ever have a good stability about him. And he has a lot of people following him, and he's just leading them all over the place. You know what I mean? So it's the same idea. But yeah, you're right. I mean, technically, you shouldn't have people leading you. But I mean, at the same time, that is society, though. You have a lot of people that just follow other people. I mean, it's just how society is.
I'm okay.
You need some good leaders that don't betray them.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with leaders, and the Bible props up certain leaders. That's okay. But I just don't. It just depends on what I mean. What are you skilled in? What justifies? Why should I follow you? You're just like a celebrity. You're an actor, or you're an athlete, or something. Why? What about that means that you're going to have some profound wisdom that I should glean from?
Maybe it's the message. If you exalt the message over the messenger, if the messenger is exalting the message over himself, that's a much better thing. I would say maybe someone like Jordan Peterson's sort of like that. But I mean, there's a lot of people that exalt themselves over their own message, and that leads a lot of people astray, especially when that person gets off track or whatever. So there is a lot to that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complex now. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's probably more complex than that.
Well, like I said, like we said, all hell breaking loose in 60 days. So, figure it out. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Don't wait too long. The end draweth nigh. So, I'm just telling you, you might want to get right tonight. Anyhow, now here, we're going to put our tinfoil hats back on until the next episode of Two Dads React. Let's see here. Like, share, comment, subscribe, become a channel member where you'll get access to all archived videos, support independent media. Super chats enabled. Super thanks for the replay gang. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. One of the feed me sandwiches. Hit the Cash App. Sandwich gang in the building. And make sure you go over to Tony's various YouTube platforms, God Rules, Sons of Thunder, and Sail Daddy 1. I have them tagged in the title. You can click one of those and head over there. Make sure you subscribe, support the stuff that he's doing. It's a good brother. Yeah, all that good stuff. Until next time, it's looking like next week on Thursday, around 10:30. So until next time, we will see you and make it a great weekend. The weekend is upon us.
You guys have a good weekend. See you all later.
All right, now. All right, bye.